Cheesy and not interesting are my thoughts on the Tokyo Olympics opening ceremony. But I think it was a good choice to play game music at the entry parade. Some amount of people would notice that it was game music and felt like, wow, it brings back memories. I was watching a reporting on TV, and I was on a Bema TV program then. Dragon Quest's music was played at first, Final Fantasy's music was played after that. And a French commentator said that, this music is from games called Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. I guess he even don't know much about those games. And I thought they are not so familiar to foreign people. Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest are familiar to Japanese people, I think, but uncommon, and for enthusiast music like from games called Chrono Trigger and Nier was also played. Chrono Trigger is popular because Akira Toriyama designed its characters, and created by staff of Dragon Quest. Was it by Hironobu Sakaguchi? But Nier is really a game for enthusiasts. I like its dark story, found it interesting. But most people don't understand when I talk about the game. And Gradius was also interesting choice, and I love it. In that sense, I mean, people feel, this is a foreign country, when they touch a culture they don't know about. I like the idea of using game music because they can make foreign people feel affinity with us, like, wow, this is new for me, and this is the Japanese culture. But, don't we have any other thing we can be proud of? I heard that the opening ceremony costed 16 billion yen in total. That cost in Rio, maybe 8 years ago, was 400 million yen. Daily Mail and Fox News from UK reported this year's opening ceremony was not interesting compared to Rio's or London's as their honest thoughts. I also agree that it was cheesy. Why did it become that cheesy in the first place? A choreographer and a stage producer, Makiko, who directed Perfume, Koi Dance, and Baby Metal, was originally supposed to be a showrunner of the opening ceremony. And it would go like, Akira bike runs on the stage, a comedian Naomi Watanabe says, "Are you ready, everybody?" and, "Ready, here Tokyo 2020 Olympics start." And Super Mario appear. Something like that was the original plan. Abe, former Prime Minister, was wearing Super Mario's costume at the closing ceremony of Rio's. So everybody could guess Super Mario will come this opening ceremony again. And I think Nintendo has already agreed that plan. But Dentsu, advertising agency, started planning to use the opening ceremony because many companies became the Olympics sponsors. I mean, Dentsu wanted to put many things in the ceremony. And, at first, Takahashi from Dentsu's sports bureau said, "How about assign Sasaki as an assistant for Makiko?" And Makiko said, "Okay, I think it's nice that Sasaki will join us." And then, Sasaki became a member of Infection Control Committee, and started claim, "I want to make some direction for the opening ceremony as a member of Infection Control Committee." And started making another new plan without Makiko. Makiko's plan was showed to IOC, and Coates said she liked Makiko's plan, and it was cool. And after that, Sasaki brought his plan and showed to Coates, and Coates said, "No, no, no, we don't need another new plan, and I like Makiko's plan better way than your boring one." But Sasaki didn't care about it and kept his plan going underwater. And Makiko and Sasaki went to see Yoshiro Mori, Tokyo Olympics chief in that time. and said, Makiko will direct the opening ceremony, you don't have to worry about it. But after that meeting, Dentsu said, it was just a lie, Mori doesn't even remember it. We will go with Sasaki as a director. These are stories written in Bun Shun, weekly news magazine. As a result, Makiko couldn't direct the opening ceremony like she was supposed to do. Another guy directed, stole her original plan to outside, and pulled its teeth out of it. Messages will be delivered without using their language, because audiences don't understand that language basically. The same applies to all the Olympics. For example, in London Olympics opening ceremony, they traced its own history. There were soldiers in the Roman army, and sisters and so on the stage, to trace some aspects of the history. And an actor, who is said cynical, from Monty Python came to the stage and perform, always look at bright side of life, dance. I thought UK was cynical as always, but this made the country UK. Like this, it is common to perform dance or music that matches some theme. In Makiko's plan, the theme was of passing the baton, from past Tokyo Olympics 1960s to the future. I mean present 2020. But I think no one can answer if you are asked, what do you think the theme of the opening ceremony was? You can explain what you saw like, I saw dance, tap dance, or, I saw dance of Ainu. But you cannot explain the what was the theme, what was the concept, or, what were messages to the audience. Why it became so are, Yuriko Koike, governor of Tokyo, said we should use firefighters and they actually performed dancing and pulling Olympics rings. And someone of Liberal Democratic Party said use something and actually used it on the stage. Like this, there were a lot of things to do and put them together and finally made it like a Mickey Mouse job. There were only little budget left because it had been spent since the Makiko's original plan. Then, the ceremony became cheesy, themeless and was written as, like attending a funeral, by Fox News. That was the situation behind, and my thoughts on the opening ceremony is like as I said. There was a plan to make 200 kimonos for each country. Was the name was Kimono Project? I guess. For example, kimono for Ecuador was mainly green, colorful like a parrot and some yellow. And kimono for Thailand is combination of yellow and patterns of leaves. There was a project to make 200 kimonos for each country like this, and they had been already made by the last year. I love the idea of using them in the ceremony. You couldn't wear it during dance performances, but if you could wear it and lead that country's athletes in the entry to the stadium, that must has impressed like, wow, this is the omotenashi, kindly making a kimono for the very country. I mean, performance like dance is not just for that country. But kimono is made by Japanese people thinking the image of the country and costs about 2 million yen each piece. It was quite good idea. But there was the organization, like NPO, which made those kimonos, and chief of the organization kept kimonos in his company. And the company run out of money and started claiming they wouldn't let kimonos used in the Olympics. 3 days before the Olympics, and finally those kimonos weren't used. It still has been referred in a court. So silly. Kimono came to nothing in the end. The organization gathered about 400 million yen on a crowdfunding campaign. They need 400 million yen in total. One kimono costed 2 million yen into making kimono for each 200 countries, and made the 200 only ones for each countries, but they were not used finally, just because of a silly thing, lack of money.